Okay, folks, welcome back to the Accommodation Show. I am very excited to welcome Yoav Tourel to the show. He is part of the Guesty group. He is an amazing operator that I've been talking to. He's also one of the directors of ASTRA. I'm really pumped to have you on the show, Yoav. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
My absolute pleasure. We've been talking for quite a while about different bits and pieces, and I know that you work with loads and loads of different operators across the industry, from short-term rentals through to motels, hotels, you name it, you're doing it. And the great thing is you're looking at the operational side of these businesses, how they're working, looking at efficiency, looking at automation, looking at all these different aspects and trying to be a real help to those operators. I would love you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what your background is, and then what you do as well, because you are part of Guesty. And then we can kind of go from there, because I know that we want to talk about automation and staffing and that sort of stuff.
So I've been in Australia for 16 years now, since I moved from Israel, came to Australia along with my wife for her studies. And like in many classic stories, we decided to stay. My background is in advertising, marketing, media. I grew up in the advertising industry, media industry, then moved to AdTech. And in the last two plus years, I joined or crossed the lines to property/travel tech, joining Guesty. Guesty, we are a property management software that specializes in short-term rentals. I joined Guesty back in 2019, where we established our office here in Sydney, catering for the entire Asia Pacific region. I'm leading a team of eight legends here on the ground in our Sydney office. We are basically a team of mainly customer-facing functions. Our Guesty headquarters is in Tel Aviv, in Israel, and we have 10 different offices across the world. I chose a very interesting time to join the travel tech and the property tech industry. It was before the corona, so I had few BC, I guess, before corona months. But it is, I must say, that maybe as strange as it sounds, it's absolutely an unbelievable point in time in the terms of the learnings that you get, obviously, as somebody that operates in this industry, but also as a manager, as a team manager, how to deal with the staff, with the partners in this point of time. So I definitely feel that every day is a school day for me and for the team here on the ground. Two last things that I'll mention. You mentioned ASTRA, so I'm proud to be a board member at ASTRA, the Australian Short-Term Rentals and Accommodation Association. Became a board member 6 months ago, and really, from one end, learning a lot, but also giving back to our community, whether it's knowledge share or echoing their voice throughout the different function in ASTRA with the government, different bodies. So that's definitely kind of really fulfilling being part of ASTRA. And the last bit, also something about myself, I do stand-up comedy for toddlers. So I don't know if we'll have time, but if you want a bit of a dad jokes at the end, I'll be more than happy to contribute. Maybe that will, let's save it to the end so people will stick with me.
I just want your short-term rental jokes and your accommodation jokes at the end. That's what I want. So if you don't have them yet, you've got 20 minutes to think of
it. There might be kind of quite similarity between, toddlers and our world, so yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Look, so great to have you. So look,
Thank you.
there's so many different angles and topics that we can go down, but there's something that's really striking to me. You guys are similar to me. We set up iBooked Online mid 2019, so before the pandemic started. When did you guys hit the road or start in Australia with Guesty?
So in Australia with Guesty, our probably one of our oldest clients here is 5 years old. So Guesty actually served the market since, what is it now? Since 2016, being a software company, managing remotely is part of the business. First client were back in 2016. We only opened the office here on the ground in September 2019. And the decision around it was the market need to have a local operation at local time, voicing better the needs of the market. So September 19, that's where we considered kind of that our kind of operation on the ground started.
Yeah, incredible. So pretty much identical timelines to myself and through
Yeah.
what we were doing, where you would have seen a lot of sort of traction when you start off all of your plans, and you'd be putting it all together so that you start the Q1 2020. Yeah, that was right. 2020, we're going to hit the ground running, do all these things. The first few months, you're trying to hit your numbers. You realize that Australia's all on holiday in January. There's bushfires going on everywhere, and then you're like, wow, okay, this is a bit of a challenge. And then you jump in, and a few months later, the pandemic starts, and then everything changes. So I can, I guess, empathize with that situation and the challenges that come with that. But I'd love you to talk a little bit about the kind of the resilience side of things and your experience with having to change your ideas and your strategy based on the pandemic within the context of accommodation and short-term rentals, and you seeing what's going on in the market.
Yeah, it's the first the first thing that immediately happened, and it wasn't a strategy or intention, it just happened, and we've seen it across different businesses and industries, is that move to empathy mode. I think that's probably something that it's built in our human side. That was the first kind of big thing that I felt to happen, that I felt that started to happen, is that pretty much immediately back in March last year, we said, all right, what is happening here? There are so many things that are now out of our control. You know, the borders are closed, no flights, lockdown. At the beginning, we didn't know what's going to happen. So everybody's in lockdown. Then obviously the period of time that there were domestic lockdown here and there, domestic travel restriction, lots of things that are not. And, you know, obviously as we speak now, we are here in Sydney, we are in our 9th week of lockdown. You guys in Melbourne are the more experienced one. By the way, we feel that we can't complain yet and about kind of our situation, because especially when talking with Melbournians. But so a lot of things not in our control, and that forced us to think, okay, so what is it that in our control? And that element of empathy and how we basically translate it into action was what started to lead us. The fact that we're moving into a mode of much more education, being informative. Okay, what we've been asked by operators like those who are watching us now, what should we do? How should we pivot? What others are doing? There was also a need. I remember at the beginning we had a lot of virtual catch up, just sharing. Yeah, I'm offering my accommodation to that, or I equipped my team with that. So lots of knowledge share. lots of financial assistance wherever we can at our end, if it's to help our clients in terms of their pricing or payment plan. Because once again, empathy. There are no travelers, and we're part of it. We are here in Australia. We're living it through. So also on that element, we started to look into what are we doing to maintain our own team resilience, and how can we pass it also to the clients. So activity that we've done in ourselves in terms of internal learning, we started to open courses, things that we're doing in-house, we started to open it also to clients. All right, you are in a forced break. Let's see what's the latest on the OTAs. How can we set our tasks better? How can we, direct booking became kind of a strong thing, and you know it kind of better than all of us. How can we help, speaking with experts like yourself or ourselves to learn it and then pass the information? So you can see that kind of across the common thread here is that moving to a mode to, okay, what can we do to help our industry to cope with that better? And I find it kind of very, almost like beautiful in some way, because truly and to date, you feel that you because you're part of that industry, because you're living here, you want to be able to assist, and that's what guided us. So a long answer summarized in one word: empathy mode.
Yeah. So you're going through, and the interesting thing that I found with everything that's happened is that it's constantly changing. You don't have much certainty at all. You don't know when things are going to close, open up, how you can structure your business. Making plans has kind of been thrown out the window. I remember that I was trying to get over to New Zealand. My plans changed 10 times in a few months. And then I remember my mum calling me saying, what are we going to do on the weekend you arrive? And in my head, I was like, I'm so not even in that headspace of thinking of arriving. Like, even getting there is just such a huge challenge, because I have to go get myself injected. I have to get tested before I go. I've got to jump through all of these different hurdles just to get there. And then probably everything's going to change anyway before then. And then I have to make another plan. And then so these kind of different stages are really important, and I think that that's something to be aware of. But also, I think that we started to talk about this before the show and before we started to record, is you want to look after your teams, you want to look after your staff, you want to look after people around you in general. And I think that one of the topics of what we want to talk about today is around the staffing, is around that approach of empathy, is around that leadership of people, and how we as business owners can do better for the people around us. I'd love you to sort of pick up from here if you've got any sort of thoughts about any of that.
Yeah. So as you just pointed, it starts from the thinking of caring about the people, which, once again, I'm looking at it from my perspective as a team manager, but also reflecting it on the work that our clients and our audience can relate to, because we are also kind of obviously working with them. One of the switches, and I found myself also speaking with client about it, is, first of all, the KPIs are changing. The KPI, if it's as business as usual, you have a very much kind of strict business KPIs on growth, on revenue, etc. Now, one of the main KPIs is, I call it within our team, the happiness level. Okay, that's not a term that I invented. There is a whole approach around managing kind of the happiness, but it's truly became one of the KPIs. What can we do to make sure that that the team members are okay, they're having the right work-life balance, they feel that they are secure, that they are safe, in this kind of crazy situation, especially within our industry. And that's became, you start to think about those elements and constantly reflecting it also on the partners. So first of all, cadence of meetings. We're now all working remotely as a team. In a lot of cases, we're already used to it in terms of the work that we're doing with clients. Most of our clients, like yourself here, are kind of working in different kind of areas in the countryside, remote areas. So anyway, we used to kind of to the video chat. We increased the cadence of the meetings. So creating that kind of interaction. Okay, if usually kind of we have meetings every in scheduled times, we increase that kind of that cadence to see what's first of all how they feel and what's going on with them, any help that they need. We came to those meetings equipped with quite a lot of information. Okay, because we wanted to, it's like bringing a treat to someone. So we came with a lot of information, what we know, what we heard. That's also, we leveraged here in Australia the relationship with ASTRA and all of the knowledge that they bring. All right, what's the regulation, what are the grants, what are the assistance, etc. Because we wanted to invest in that kind of education. So that bit of the personal touch and constantly educate, that's the first thing that came up. The second thing is to maintain high level of being productive and being busy. And by that I mean, I'm constantly looking at my team, but looking especially on the work that we're doing with the clients. What is it in our to-do list, in our regular to-do list, regardless of the corona, us as a business, what we would we advise to our clients to do now? Because that's usually our agenda. How to create more efficiency in the business, how to automate, how to be better in the guest experience. Now, and by now I mean the last 18 months, now is the time to invest in that, because you have a lot of forced break times. So by acknowledging that and by constantly securing meeting with clients to discuss it, because it's not about the revenue now. Revenue, it's a byproduct of that whenever the traveling will be back. But now it's the time to get busy and to learn and to adapt new things that will assist in your business efficiency. I can tell you that in this point of time now, as well as in different kind of lockdown last year, we know that and probably some of the audience are doing it now, you reviewing your alternatives, because it is the best time to do that. Am I using the right technology? Am I using the right tools? Do I have the right kind of tech stack in place? Shall I look into it? Shall I save costs? Shall I train my team? That's what's happening now, and it's very natural. So we are aligning ourselves with that. We know that our clients, or some of our clients probably, are also reviewing us, and same happens to the other kind of good companies out there, that clients are reviewing them. And now is the time to do it, and we're just leveraging that.
Yeah, and look, I think that point there, it really goes across any kind of supplier, right? It could be anything from your contractors that are helping you with your
Correct?
business, to your cleaners, to your staff, to where you buy your toilet paper from. It can be across the board, and not just tech stack or marketing strategy. It can be your whole business strategy overall as well that you're going to be reviewing right now to adapt to that kind of new world. But I think that the point that I really picked up, one, is reviewing your suppliers and reviewing your business, but keeping cadence and staying busy and having some contact with those people around you is kind of some of the fundamentals that are keeping things kind of on track or on the rails, so to speak. I've got a question for you that, just to rewind a tiny bit, you said one of the things that we're measuring isn't revenue, it's happiness. I've got a double barrel question. So I know that Canada is one of the countries that actually has happiness as one of the key metrics to measure the government. How are people doing? Are they actually happy or not? A lot of countries don't have that metric. Israel doesn't have it. Or do they have it? Just curious. Do you know?
I don't think that it's something that is
Yeah.
being actually measured. It's often mentioned in,
Yeah.
in
I
different
think
kind of
I'm
press
pretty sure
releases,
New
but
Zealand do
I
as
don't
well.
think that
But
it's,
yeah,
is it, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So two things. One is how do you measure it, and then the second part of it, you being the leader as well. How do you make sure that you're personally also okay? Like, it's all great, good and well, looking after the
Yeah.
customers, looking after your team, and everything else. And I think that there are a lot of most people that will be listening to this. They will be the leaders of their business, and they will be on their own, and they'll be going, as long as everyone else is happy. How do you make sure, one, well, you measure it within your teams, and then how do you make sure that you're also okay, and you've got those checks and balances?
Yeah. So measuring with the team is as well as by the way, I would say kind of also with the client, because I constantly I see lots of similarity in the relationship. It's really having the finger on the pulse. There is no kind of ranking. No, when I do, on a side note, when I do the performance reviews for the team members, every time we're doing it once a quarter, and every time I ask them, the first question is from 1 to 10, what's your happiness level? And then kind of after a few quarters, you get actual, all right, you were almost 8, and now you're 8.5, and then you can, that's kind of, you can start to analyze it a bit. But no, in this period of time, it's mainly keeping the finger on the pulse. It's that frequent team meeting. So we do a team meeting every morning. Okay, we call it Manishma meeting. Manishma in Hebrew is how are you? Okay, how are you? Are you going? Meeting, and that's where you have that interaction that you speak about the business, because that's us, that's what keeps us busy, but you feel how are you today, as simple as it sounds. And if you look at it kind of in the long-term perspective, you actually can feel really when it's a tough day or not. So and especially in the last 9 weeks here in Sydney of our lockdown, look, it is a resilience game. How do you, week after week, you don't see kind of where it ends. You see the cases rising every day. You see more areas locking down. You speak with the clients. So when we speak with each one of you guys, we also feel it very strongly, which also impact us. So finger on the pulse, that I will say that's how I measure it, and the way that I'm acting upon it is making sure that we have our plan in place. We know what we want to do, so now we are kind of this quarter, what we would like kind of to achieve, what are the main things that we want to focus on. So communicate that in almost as a, or not almost, business as usual way. That's one thing. Second thing is, and that's also something that that we're doing with the team. What have I learned this quarter? All right. What are the 2-3 things that I personally improved my skills this quarter? It might be things that are related to our product. It might be, I don't know, for our sales to be better in their negotiation skills. And we'll find a mentor or something like that. So what have I learned this quarter? And also for on the personal side, how do I maintain that right work-life balance? Or in our case now, it's more work-life integration, because you see, I'm here from my personal room, talking work, and everything kind of is blending like for all of us. And that means that, all right, are we doing team meetings, team trivia? Okay, we started with it in-house. We took it also to our industry, a disclaimer, you won the last one, okay? That type of activities. Lockdown started, we did it, by the way, also with clients. We sent puzzles, 1,000 pieces puzzles based on destinations. Not that hard to make that connection between puzzles to our industry, but it's all of those gestures. And because it's in your KPI to invest in that, you're constantly working in that. And week in, week out, doing it, that create the impact. And to answer your second question, that's also what make me as a team leader, that's also helped my happiness, because you care about your team, like everybody kind of that is listening to us. You care. It's a big part of your work. And I think by doing that, and by seeing that your assistant, that with your team you create that environment that keep the level of happiness high, that's contribute to your own kind of happiness. And that goes anyway. Everything that I'm speaking about, I'm also applying to myself. So if it's to know when to take, the bit of more quiet times, where to, because it's a work-life integration. So there are no 9 to 5 now. So that you might have a later call or early call. So go for a walk, go for a run. It's all of those. Read something, watch a video, interview it's all of those type of stuff to apply also to yourself. And maybe a personal tip, even though that as an operation manager, I need to look into the long term and to see, all right, what's next? No, I'm almost on a day-by-day basis. Today is already Thursday. Wow. Today, let's kind of see what's in our to-do list for today. Who do I need to speak with? Which clients I haven't reached out to? Good. Day done. Friday. Slowly. We're almost in the summertime. So that's kind of how I see it, and exactly the same applying to the relationship with the clients. So everything or most of the things that we're trying to do as a team, we also then take it to the client side.
Yeah, and so if we equate that back as well to, I guess, within the space where we're a short-term rental host, we're dealing with our day-to-day, and so we've got our staff who might not be working for quite a while, so we want to be checking in with them and making sure that they're rather than measuring revenue, it's like, well, what do we measure? What can we work on? What can those KPIs be? I guess what you're suggesting is see if you can readjust it, and see if you can look at happiness, if that's the way you want to term it, or satisfaction, or well-being, like whatever word it is, it doesn't really matter, but there's that kind of score of how you're feeling, so that then you've got something to work towards, and then that's that you can apply to your staff. and it's something that then should pay off dividends once things do get busy as well and guests start coming back in.
Absolutely, I am, and that's the you nailed it in terms of that's the secret motive. If you want that, our team members will, we know that they appreciate it. I know, by the way, that's also how I am kind of taken care by my own managers and the other colleagues. So it goes both ways, and especially when we speak about kind of the clients. I think that for each one of us, for you with your business, for each one of our viewers and listeners with their ecosystem, I really believe that it will pay off in the long term, because these are the moments that when you assist, when you stick, when you almost forget your regular metrics and just trying kind of to help, I believe that pays off.
Yeah, look, I had a really great conversation with someone yesterday, and I don't want to give too much away as to what the conversation was, because it's a little bit of IP. But the one thing was which she was saying to me, I want to get super personalized with my guests. Whilst I don't have that contact, I want to reach out to them. I need some efficiencies around doing that. But how do I get there, and how do I get in front of those guests and communicate with them? And I think that is really important. Is that right now it is the most beneficial thing you can do is to try to engage with your audience, not in terms of trying to sell them something, but in terms of trying to delight them and improve their well-being whilst they're going through whatever they're going through, and they will look back at you and go, "Oh, you were the one who was looking out for me."
Exactly, and two kind of that's kind of spark two kind of two thoughts. First of all, now and that's related to the impact of COVID on our industry. COVID in my opinion, is a tipping point to the short-term rental industry, in the sense that there are now, you spoke about audiences, there are now new audiences that discovered the magnificent world of short-term rentals as opposite to the traditional hotels, because it's you now want to be home away from your home type of thinking, and that's here to stay. That kind of notion, you can't undo that experience. And yes, that definitely create new ways to communicate with now different audiences that weren't used to that kind of type of experience. So that's very much that's very much true. The second thing that I wanted to say, that we've seen how the market, how the operators, the hosts, the property managers are exactly leveraging the point that you spoke about, their personal touch with the guests, the experience that we get, that increase the confidence in this uncertainty. And I think that the effect that it creates, in a very, it's almost like a paradox way, that there is more confidence in that uncertainty times. The fact that a lot of hosts and property managers are very flexible in their cancellation, are offering much more, whether it's clean environment, safety, whether it's lots of kind of self-catered place, etc. It increase the confidence in what we do. Mm-hmm. And if you zoom out and look at these uncertainty times, it creates that oxymoron of confidence in the uncertainty. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, and I absolutely agree. And I think that, I'm always a guy that looks at opportunity with all of these things and seeing how you do things. The one thing that's been a big surprise to me over the past few months is how things have so rapidly changed again, and in a negative way, right? So we thought, COVID, when is it going to be over? Then everything gets locked down again, and here we are again, and there's a lot of suffering and pain. And then it's very hard to get back into the old habits that we had. So being mindful, being grateful for different things, thinking of happiness and all that kind of stuff. Because what generally happened is when things started to open up again, it all just started like go, 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 make revenue, make money, and then we forget about all those things, and then we get back into it. We're down in the dumps. Then we actually need these tools that we've got in our tool belt to sort of get through it and to become better at what we do. And we still have those opportunities, and it's the only thing we can kind of surround ourselves with at the moment, right? We don't have anything else, so let's go back to those basics.
Exactly, and that's exactly like that. No, exactly like that, and these are the things that you can actually control. So back to your question about what make me happy is the fact that I know that there are things that are in our control, that we can do things in this crazy time.
That's beautiful. Mr. Yoav, I'm going to finish up our episode for today. I like the fact that this became a lot more philosophical than I had predicted. And just so everyone knows, we don't have a script here. We don't have a set plan as to exactly what we're going to talk about. But I think that the issues that we talked about today are really important. It doesn't matter if you're in Australia and you're in lockdown or you're somewhere else across the world. All of these principles are super important, and finding the balance between revenue and happiness can be a huge addition to your business. Be it if you're working in tech or if you're working on the front lines, helping guests and serving guests and that sort of thing. Thank you so much for contributing, spending your time with us. And the final question I always like to ask, you've given to our community, so is there anything our community can do for you?
I think that kind of this type of session and learning, getting learning, kind of, it's like osmosis. You try to get kind of learning from the others. That's the most important thing that I would like to ask for. So to have more opportunities to meet you either as an audience, or to get kind of to know what you're doing and to learn from it. So that will be, if I can ask for something back.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Look, if you want to
thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, my absolute pleasure. If you want to get in touch, then there's you can go through Guesty. So Guesty is the platform. The Australian Short-Term Rental Accommodation Association. So ASTRA is another way to reach out and to get in touch as well. LinkedIn, you're on there as well. We'll have all of these links in the show notes, so you guys will be able to download them. Make sure that you give the channel a follow. It keeps us doing what we're doing. Make sure you subscribe, give us a like, leave us some feedback, give us a comment. We would love to know your thoughts. Thank you so much once again, and we will catch everyone next week.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Take care.